Your voice, your opinion, your community. Fact TV, free speech, protected.
Local news, politics, business, sports, arts, music. Mike and Marty on the feed. Mike and Marty. Mike and Marty.
Good morning, Bellows Falls and Keene, and welcome to the feed. It's Mike and Marty. Today we're here with Charlie Hunter. We're going to be talking about the restoration of the Miss Bellows Falls Diner and all the excitement that's going on around that. But first, Marty, with local events.
Local events. So, starting tonight, or starting August 4th through the 15th at the Bellows Falls Opera House is Oppenheimer. That
It's
looks
supposed to be very good.
Yeah, I figured that. I figured that you would say that. I was like, yeah, I'll pass.
You're the Barbie, you go, well, I'm the Oppenheimer guy.
Exactly. Well, we both do agree on the Marvel movies. Anyway, the classic movie this week is Field of Dreams, sponsored by Coda and Coda. We were out traveling on, I guess it was Sunday, just doing a road trip, and we came across this open field, and there was a little sign that said Field of Dreams. So, well, who knows? Maybe it is. At the library, happening next Wednesday, so this gives you time to plan, is the Modern Times Theater. They're coming and they're doing the Baffo Box Show, a compact cardboard comedy. Say that 10 times fast. So that's open to all ages, starts at 5 p.m. and it's free. One more thing that the library is doing. And this weekend is the big weekend in Bellows Falls. It is Old Home Days. Kicking off the day's events are the Bring It Home 5K. Race. If you want to register for the race, we're registering between 7 and 7:45. The actual race starts at 8 o'clock. It's starting at the Rockingham Rec Center and ending at the Rockingham Rec Center. It's a 5K loop around town. It's a single loop, it's not a double loop. Or maybe it is a double loop, I don't remember. I shouldn't quote that. I can't remember. I was there last year, but anyway. So it's only $15 if you register ahead of time. If you are a group of 10 or more, it's only $10 a person. So find your friends. It's all of the money, all of the proceeds go to the Waypoint and go to putting on the actual Rockingham Old Home Days, because it does cost to put these things on. For kids and adults alike, there's Touch a Truck happening at the Waypoint Center from 1 to 4 p.m. There'll be a lot of other events happening down there. There'll be food vendors. I think there's a bouncy house. I think there's a lot of kid-related booths and things. I don't have an exact listing, but based upon the last few years, it's always a good time. Intercept will be playing from 2:30 to 5:30. That's always a good time. The fireworks start at 9:15. And if you want to listen to music while watching the fireworks, PK's is actually having the band mosey down on their location starting at 8 o'clock. I would assume probably 8 o'clock until the fireworks, and then probably after the fireworks.
And then on Sunday, there's the annual pilgrimage to the Meeting House.
Okay, that I forgot about.
Yeah, I haven't heard what the program is going to be, but I'd heard that there was going to be a program,
Nice.
and it might be something.
Because that's really what Old Home Days started as. That's the original
And I think
event.
they may be even doing some sort of cemetery tour after.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've been doing a lot of restoration work on the cemetery, stones.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Speaking of restoration work, I didn't even realize I was lobbing you that one.
Speaking of restoration work, yes.
So tell us, how did this start? Whose idea was it to restore Miss Bellows Falls Diner?
We can blame Jeff Dunbar. Jeff Dunbar is an upstanding citizen, ladies and gentlemen. He's a member of the village trustees. He and his brother own a few properties in town. He works at Farnham Insulation, and he devotes a lot of time to various good causes. Mm-hmm. He came to me last winter and was like, what is going to happen with the diner? For about the last 15 years, I've done posters for the Preservation Trust of Vermont for their annual conference. I paint stuff in my other life. And so I reached out to them and said, what can one do? Because you're now at a point where the diner was built to have 32 seats. very quickly in its history, it opened in Bellows Falls, this particular diner, in 1944. It very quickly went to 28 seats. Over the years, a couple more seats have disappeared. In modern restaurant business, no one is going to
It's
open a
not the wrong
24
scale,
seat
yeah.
place. Preservation Trust of Vermont said, look, what the diner really is the gathering place for a town, just like a general store is in a more rural town.
Good point.
And we, Preservation Trust, are actively promoting this model called community supported enterprise. And that is that a local nonprofit purchases the building that needs help. Because just like the diner had years of deferred maintenance, general stores across the state have years of deferred maintenance. The nonprofit, the fact that a nonprofit owns it, the building still stays on the tax rolls. But a nonprofit can unlock all kinds of grant money. And they said that is the way to go with the diner, especially since it's on the National Register of Historic Places, thanks to Del and Joanne Bush, who owned the diner in the 70s and 80s. So we partnered with we're partnering with Preservation Trust of Vermont. They helped us get a $100,000 grant, which goes to specifically to restoring the historic structure. That is the barrel roof diner itself, Worcester Lunch Car number 771. The nonprofit entity that we are using in town is Rockingham for Progress. Rockingham for Progress was founded when the ill-conceived, we'll just say ill-conceived, Liberty Mill Justice Center was proposed. Remember
I do remember
thing that
that.
was
I do
actually
remember
Yeah,
that.
we had several people on about that.
yeah, it was a federal detention center that
Yeah.
they were trying to say was for rehabilitation. It wasn't, but anyway, that ill-starred project, Rockingham
Created
for
this
Progress,
entity.
exactly, and Rockingham for Progress fought against it. Since then, Rockingham for Progress has been sort of dormant, but their mission statement is to promote positive economic development
Oh,
in town.
nice. So you conveniently had a
So
already
we
chartered
went to
nonprofit.
them. Yes, I was on the board. So I went to the board, the very dormant board, at Bonnie North, of our select board, and suggested this. And they were like, that's great. So Brian McAllister, who owned the diner from Father's, he was enthusiastic about this idea. We purchased it from him in June. We very quietly raised $100,000 from people who just love diners, are supportive of the town. But the next phase, for the next 6 months, we figure the project is going to be easily $750,000, easily. Because the building itself has started to degrade. I mean, if you go past it now, you can see it bows out on the street side because there are no through trusses. There's structure up to the window band, and then there's the window band, and it just is bowing out that way now. So there's going to have to be a lot of reconstruction. The metal panels are rusting from road salt and stuff. So we raised $100,000 by the time we purchased it. So from December to June. Now, from July to the end of the year, we're going to try to raise another $100,000 by going to local businesses and asking for basically donations in the $2,500 to $15,000 range. And then after the first of the year, then we're coming for you, ladies and gentlemen. That's when we're going to start the buy a mug, buy a T-shirt, buy a pennant. We're going to do old, Bellows Falls. You remember those
The
Yeah,
felt
triangular
those were
pennants.
great.
Yeah, those
we're
are
going to do
wonderful.
those. We're going to do all that sort of stuff. But it's going to be, we figure, or Preservation Trust is saying, if we can raise $250,000, they think that we can get grants for pretty
Like
much the
matching
remainder.
sort of
Right,
idea?
because you've already
Yeah.
got your batch. So
Yeah.
you
Well,
don't
and we've
looks
already got the
stronger.
100,000 from the Bruin grant, so That if we raise $250,000, then with the Bruin grant, that's $350,000, and they think there's the remaining money can be found with grants, and we hope they are right.
I would think there's such a, it's such a part of Americana that while there might not be grants within the state per se, although there probably are some, I would think that national, overall, you might be able to find national grants.
Yeah, and there's economic development money, since it is part of the downtown. The thing is, it's a wonderful link between the downtown core and the revivifying north end. The PK's looks beautiful now. The new Bellows Falls Garage, what's happening next door with the old Shona Grill, Real Scoop property. I mean, stuff
Things
is
are
coming
happening,
alive.
really nice.
It's nice. It's nice to, that was kind of a sad bare spot for since, I don't know, when Shona left, and then Ryan operated it for a while, but then couldn't do it, and it's just been it was vibrant and then not, and it's always hard to see it in the not phase. It's nice to see it in the becoming vibrant phase.
So I guess your short-term goal is to stabilize the building and then reconstruct.
Where we are right now is we have hired our project manager because we're a volunteer board. All right. You want to have someone professional overseeing it and making sure things are done correctly. Exactly. And that's Andrew Dye from Walpole, who's a wonderful guy. He loves making charts. We've received several charts already.
That's good.
With the time frame.
Timelines and charts.
And so now he is working on talking to architects and builders. Then concurrently, we'll start working with the town on what permitting and what variance we may need, because everything is basically on the table about how can we set that building up to be in great shape for the next 80 years. It's going to have its 80th anniversary in Bellows Falls in 2024. And if we can get it set up so it can be viable for the next 80 years, that's our goal. Because what Ben Doyle of Preservation Trust said, look, if we restore that building, but it's not a viable business, then we've failed. Yeah. Our job is to get that working. It probably means some additional seating. The current bathrooms and kitchen are just built on, there's no slab under them. So that's probably all going to get reconfigured. The building maybe it'll set back further from the street so that it won't get hit by salt so much. Right now, everything's on the table.
Right. Yeah. So then the long-term goal is to find an outside operator that you guys will lease to or whatever. Yeah.
I have learned the term triple net lease, which I don't really know what it means, but I think it means you stick the operator with everything.
It's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, so it's an inexpensive lease, but the operator is responsible for things. But what we want to do is have a great physical plant ready to go for the operator.
And then somebody will walk in. Yeah.
Because I think that's the only you're setting them up for success, because usually in a place like that, one of the things that's always a problem in an old building is things go wrong. Yeah. So who wants to lease a space, try to run a business, and then all of this stuff's going wrong. So if you have a completely renovated space, you're just one leg ahead. Then it's really, the ball really is in your court to make your business model work.
Absolutely.
Now within any of your campaigns, are you doing like naming right campaigns, like at the Opera House you can buy a seat? Are you doing anything like that?
Indeed we are. Indeed we are. Thank you, Marty.
How did you know that?
I know that.
We have basically, if there's something you'd like named after you, talk to us. We're here to make a deal. But officially, we have what we call counter help, which is get a segment of the counter named after you. You can get a stool. I do a humor reading every Sunday night, And I mostly read from an American humorist named Robert Benchley, who died in like 1940. And so we're trying to endow the Robert Benchley stool. You can get a foretop. You can get a seated a foretop. Yeah, we are trying to leverage that. If you had say you proposed to your beloved at the diner, and you, every time you come into the diner, you say, "That's our stool, honey," and she looks at you like you're crazy. You can get that named after her. Yeah, think about
that's
that.
the most
Think
romantic
about
thing
that.
that could happen,
Yeah.
for sure. Are you considering doing donate $80 on the 80th campaign?
Whoa, not yet. Now we are.
Write that one down. That's
I mean,
Marty.
Yeah.
it is because I am incapable of doing anything other than thinking about things. It's falling on me to come up with a lot of raising the money. So 80 on the 80th is.
That's a good one, huh?
Yeah.
We're all over that.
Yeah.
That's great.
Ezra Veach did mugs years ago. You know, he did the design on the mugs. Una Madden, who ran the diner in the 90s, says she has the original of Ezra's drawing somewhere. And if we can find that, we're going to reprint the
Yeah.
I
mugs.
forgot about that.
We found one very soggy box of mugs down in the cellar. And so they've been cleaned and are drying out. They'll be a premium at some point.
Nice. Nice.
Soggy mugs are always.
Well, they're not soggy
Oh.
anymore. Now they're beautiful.
There have been quite a few people that people know in town have owned or operated
Yes.
that diner. It's really.
Oh, we had
it's
a
who's who of Bellows Falls history, isn't it?
absolutely. Last week we're going to do 3 programs in conjunction with the Rockingham Library. Ian Graham, director of the library, good guy, ladies and gentlemen, good guy.
I think we have an image for that.
V and Grant.
No, not of Ian Graham, but there we go.
Yeah, there we go. We're doing 3 programs. We had the first one last week, which was just introducing the team. And I joked at that it really was like a diner support meeting. It was like a 12-step meeting. So it was all these people who had owned the diner. It was like, we're powerless over diners. And we realized they make our lives unmanageable. Because we had Charlie Jarris there. We had Wayne Stone, who owned it at one point before Brian McAllister. We had the Bushes, who owned it in the 70s and 80s.
They're the ones I think it was thriving when they had it.
Yeah, and they were great. They've given me a scrapbook that they kept when they had it,
nice.
and I've taken pictures of all the pages of that and then gotten it back to them. They seem like wonderful people. But yeah, so we're doing that. We did that program last week. Then on September 9th, is it 19th? Yes.
Yes. Yep.
September 19th, Richard Gutman, who is he's like the American diner expert. He wrote a book called American Diner. That proves it.
Yeah.
But he is our consultant about diner history. He's going to come up and do a program at the library about the history of diners in America, how they evolved from true lunch carts or all-night horse-drawn little food trucks, basically,
Right.
of that era, into the diner, which they very seldom were actually repurposed railroad cars, but they were
They were made to
designed to
look
look
like-
like that. Exactly. 'Cause
Oh, I didn't know that.
That was considered, good food. And they were easily transported. They were a prefab building
Yeah.
that was brought.
Because they were made in the factory in Worcester, right?
Exactly.
And then, I don't want to go, but were there different designs? Like, could you buy a number 12 and they'd deliver it in a month? Or
Yes, you could buy a number 12, but each one was then specifically fitted to the operator. So it was not Valentine Diner. I'm learning a lot about
I think of that.
Valentine diners were completely prefab. You just bought model 1, 2, or 3. But Worcester lunch cars prided themselves on that no two
They
were
were
exactly
custom,
alike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like the Chelsea Diner down in Brattleboro was a Worcester car too,
Yeah.
right?
There you
And the
go.
Shanghai Garden in Springfield
Oh,
is
I
the
didn't
old
know.
Ten Eyck Diner. But
Ah.
it's that diner is, there's nothing really historic. What the treasure is with Bellows Falls is that the interior of that diner is intact.
Yeah.
And we've found down in the basement the old steam table that was just buried under stuff. And the Bushes say that steam table works great. So we look forward to putting that back up.
Nice. That's so cool that a lot of it's there and
Yeah.
it can be and it's not to bring up a sore subject in town, but that there's a proactive approach to saving it versus the YMCA building, that the old church
Yeah,
that did this. It was too late. It was too late by
Yeah.
the time that people were like, well, how can we save it and what
Right.
can we do? It was too late. And so it sounds like you guys are on the cusp of not being too late
Right.
to be able. It can be saved.
It needs work, but it is doable.
That's where we need to be with some of
Yeah.
Yeah.
the town
exactly.
and the buildings that we have and the history that we want to preserve. That's where we need to be, not
Right.
waiting until it's too late.
Well, it's horrifying now. You look at the paper mills, next to the power plant, and there are holes in the roof. I mean, those buildings are
Those are
probably
gone.
doomed.
Mhm.
Privately owned, but
Yes.
a shame. Anyway, and then in November, Charlie Jarris will be running a program called Tales from the Diner, which will be all the people who worked there talking about various
things that
that happened, I guess.
I can imagine there could be some interesting tales.
I would
80
imagine,
years
too.
of being in downtown.
I would think.
On a Saturday night. Oh my goodness.
Oh, in one of the things in the scrapbook, there were a whole bunch of articles in like Yankee and the Boston Globe magazine, and someone has quoted, "The great thing about Del Bush is that you can go in there at midnight on a Saturday night and spill your guts to him, and he keeps his mouth shut."
That's funny. That's funny. But,
If people want to give you money, how can they do that?
They can go to Rockingham for Progress website and contact us there. We do not yet have it set up with a donate now button, but we will in the next couple of months. One of the things that I've learned is that donor fatigue is a real thing.
That's true.
And a
Yes.
project that is as long as this one, because the diner won't reopen until 2025 at some point. We don't want to be
Everybody
wearing-
burned out in the beginning,
So
yeah.
so it's, if you've got $2,500, talk to me. If you got less than 2,500, hang on to it, and we will be
Invest
begging
it.
for it soon. Right, put it in a
put it in a
think
slow
about it.
yield in a high yield CD. Have it make money for you.
So it's a long-term project, and
Yeah.
we may move it off site for the rebuilding. But we don't know yet. We just want to do it right.
I think that's important because you have the bank behind you. I'm assuming there might have to be
Right.
some shoring the bank up and just a lot of. And
Yeah, it's
then-
interesting. The lot itself is like 90 feet along Westminster Street, then 130 feet back, and then 30 feet up against the Catholic Church, and then
Wow.
130 feet back to the road. So it's this weird trapezoid.
Uh-huh.
It's a quirky lot.
Oh, I would imagine. So we have about 2 minutes left. Is there any last thoughts you want to leave the public with? Like, are there ways other than? Do you need any boots on the ground help? Are there ways people can help other than just donating?
Right now, I wouldn't say right now is. Well, Jeff Dunbar keeps getting very dirty. He looks.
I think he likes that. though.
But yeah, I mean, we've cleaned out a lot of trash behind the diner and stuff. If you're interested in helping, go to the Rockingham for Progress Facebook page and message me there, and we'll keep a list. There certainly will be boots on the ground stuff.
I'm just thinking sometimes people like to do sweat equity
Yeah.
or like in-kind services.
In-kind services, yeah. I mean, well, DiBernardo Associates right now is they're surveying the lot,
that's nice.
and they're donating their services
Nice.
on that. Ruggerios has stepped up. They provided a dumpster that Jeff filled with soggy cardboard. There's a lot of people helping out. It's going to take a lot of us over the next 2 years.
It's like anything. It takes a community, and that's why there needs to be the driving force. There needs to be kind of the chiefs, but there needs to be a lot of other
Yeah.
folks helping out too to get to keep these places and get them. And then when somebody does buy it and own it,
You need to go get a cup of
go there.
coffee
You need to go
and
there
egg.
and have an egg or
Yes.
have those egg and bacon and potato.
Dishes.
Dishes.
Those things. And also, I want to say that the town so far has been great. We have our wonderful, wonderful town manager, Scott Pickup. Don't irritate him, ladies and gentlemen. He's a treasure. Gary Fox at the development office has been great. It's really exciting.
It's great.
That's it. We're out of
And
time.
I think I want to thank you for coming on. Always a fountain of information, always fun. And thanks, Charlie.
and you'll
Thank you
keep us
so much.
posted.
Absolutely.
Awesome. All right. Bye, community.
Local news, politics, business, sports, arts, music.